Thank you for your blessings, too.
No talent, just vibes.
So Luca, if you have questions, please let us know. And now we're here with Hidde. Nice. Hidde is a father, a microdosing guide, a ceremonial facilitator, and a consciousness coach that started a new journey after breaking his neck on 2018. Welcome. Did I say that correctly? Yes. Thanks for being here with us. We're very grateful for your patience. So, breaking your neck on 2018, I bet there was some story before that as well.
There was a whole story before
Yeah.
that.
So maybe if you could give us an introduction about your story, that would be great. Yeah.
Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Yeah, where to start? Well, actually, this falling from a tree, a weeping willow in 2018, actually is where my latest unfolding of the path began. There are many different stories to tell about my life before that. Working as a massage therapist, as a filmmaker, as an event organizer, and many other ventures and paths I've walked.
Yes.
But the one which started with a fracture is the one that opened up a whole lot for me, from first my grief and pain, and then walking through my recovery and there discovering a new direction where
Yeah.
all of the former paths
Just speak a bit loud.
came together.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Not at all.
That sounds great. I'm going to ask questions later if you guys are listening to it.
Alex, if the audio is too low, let us know, please.
Yeah, he's letting me know.
doing
He's
it.
letting me know. That's why I'm
So I would
interrupting him.
speak louder, or should I place the mic at different louder?
Yes.
You guys are talking secret than each other.
Okay, it was just 5 minutes in, so maybe we can do this again.
Sure.
I said I want to for a second, just to cool down.
Fix look.
Joe, I want you to be more excited, bro.
Yes.
Can you please like imagine you're introducing a hot chick.
He's a hot chick.
He is a hot chick.
Okay, we're filming. The mics are on.
Why not?
Okay, so here we are, everyone, with Hidde. Hidde is a father. He is a microdosing guy, a ceremonial facilitator, and he's a consciousness coach that started his journey on 2018 after breaking his neck, which is something that doesn't happen to a lot of us. And if it does happen to you, I don't know how you're watching this show right now, because that's pretty crazy. And I don't know how you're still able to do this. So welcome, Hidde.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for your patience with everyone, especially with them too. And do you want to maybe tell people about your story, how it all started?
Yes. Well, as you mentioned,
Yes.
the unfolding of this path, working as a psychedelic facilitator, started with a fracture. I fell from a weeping willow in the Vondelpark,
Yes.
tree I still quite frequently visit. And in my recovery phase, I rediscovered psychedelics as a healing tool, actually as a catalyst in my healing process,
Yes.
where I had some previous experience with psychedelics recreationally,
Yeah.
also ceremonially, but this was after I became depressed, as I was forced to lay still for 20 hours a day, and doctors said that if it was only an inch closer to my spine, I would probably be paralyzed. So that that was quite the reality check.
Yeah.
And also it brought me to face my state of being, not being able to function in the world,
Yeah.
not being able to work, a lot of time to reflect on what happened, who I was, who I wanted to be, where life would be taking me. And that was actually a turning point that got me on in this new direction.
Yeah.
And I shared before that I was trying many different careers before that, working as a massage therapist, as a filmmaker, worked as a chef, I worked as a event organizer.
Yeah.
All things where I've learned a lot of different things and had many experiences, but something was lacking.
Yeah.
There was this constant search of purpose and meaning giving, and I feel that for the past 7 years now,
7 years.
where I've been exploring this healing modality with the help of the plants,
Yeah.
mushrooms and truffles
Yeah.
in my case, and helping people
Through the process.
becoming getting more connected with themselves.
Yeah.
With that tool has brought me a lot of
Yeah.
purpose. Yeah.
So you took me to that tree, right? The weeping willow. Is it in Vondel Park?
It's in the Vondelpark,
Yeah,
the
it's-
Central Park of Amsterdam.
Yeah, the Central Park of Amsterdam. So I went there. I touched the tree. It was pretty cool. I only heard that he broke his neck there. After I was there looking at the tree and touching the trees, I think maybe you told me about it before, but I just didn't register that you broke your neck, which is crazy.
Yeah, the thing is, I climbed the whole tree
Yeah.
beforehand, but I was doing a kind of a
When you were younger.
workout. No, I mean, the same day I broke my neck, I climbed to the top of the tree, but it wasn't
Yeah.
until later where I'm...
So I think the main point here is don't do calisthenics, don't do anything on trees. Go to a gym like a normal person. I'm kidding. And how long were you in the hospital for?
I was in and out basically with pictures and brace.
Yeah.
So I was still able to get to the hospital and go back, but
Nice.
they scared me there, saying,
Yeah.
after they took the pictures, they strapped me on a stretcher and said, oh, this is bad news.
Nice.
So I was like, oh, fuck.
And then you started the work with psychedelic. And the main ingredient, the active ingredient of truffles in the mushrooms is psilocybin.
Correct.
Okay.
No, it wasn't straight away. It was a couple of weeks of negative thoughts spiraling,
Yeah.
getting depressed as a result. Before I actually went to a friend and shared my state of being, and he gave me the advice to try microdosing.
Yeah.
And from there on, it took another couple of weeks before I was able to turn this way of seeing myself as a victim and changing it into responsibility, ownership of my healing process. And from there on, but that's just part of the story, because it was combined with a journaling practice, meditation practice, and just reshaping my frame of mind.
And you were maybe being too harsh on yourself during that period, because you mentioned seeing yourself as a victim.
Yeah.
But I think if you break your neck, you can see yourself as a victim a little bit.
Yeah, but there's, I was asking myself these questions like, why did this happen to me?
Yeah.
And what's, I was just, well, I wouldn't say pathetic, but I was in a victim mindset, even though it was tough recovery. But actually, that crack is also what brought the light in. So it was for a good reason. And now I don't actually like dwelling on the past that much, even though it's a nice icebreaker to tell people how my path unfolded. But actually, what came after is much more interesting,
Yeah. Then I came into your life.
You were part of that as well, yeah.
And then everything became more interesting.
Perhaps you want to share a bit on how you came into my life as a client, actually. Working
Okay.
microdosing.
Wow, that got really serious really fast. So the thing is, correct me if I'm wrong. I found you on, I heard from a basketball friend Believe it or not, I play basketball even though I'm 2 feet tall. But I heard from a basketball friend that about the microdosing program. I was discussing with him microdosing and other types of therapies. And I right now I don't remember if the main cause was me procrastinating a lot or consuming too much adult content at the time. Okay, let's have a laugh break. So everyone can do their laugh.
Sorry, it's a joke.
Yeah.
I recall
No.
those two things went hand in hand.
Hand in hand. Oh, I see what you did there.
No pun intended.
So you were also depressed, but also you had an addiction.
No, I mean, I think I throughout, since I was a young teenager, I think I've kept this small depression level. Maybe not even, it's not a diagnosis. I'm not going to say depression, but I mean, it's kind of a nihilism, which now is turning more in towards absurdism. But what brought me to Hidde was the procrastination and my consumption of adult content, which came hand in hand. And Hidde guided me to that. I mean, I still got to work on that issue, but I'm very happy that I had the opportunity to talk to him, to have his guidance, because he also works with a lot of people with other types of issues as well, but also to come in contact with microdosing. Because my experience of microdosing is that it opens your mind to new possibilities. So, for instance, this whole thing we're doing right now, I bet there was something to do with it. And also, like, for instance, if I do microdosing in the morning, then I go to the gym, sometimes ideas come to my mind like, oh, maybe I should write this on my gym routine. This is going to optimize my time while I'm here.
People don't know, but when Joe goes to gym, he's got e-reader that he carries around.
The covers,
E-reader.
the e-reader, like a super note. Yeah, that I write it down like most people do. They bring their e-readers to the gym.
Most people?
Yes, maybe. So, okay, enough about the star of the show.
Well, sorry to interrupt. Perhaps it's nice to give a little bit context.
Yeah,
For those who don't know what microdosing is,
yeah,
I think most people know, probably your audience knows, but microdosing basically is taking a very small amount of a psychedelic substance.
Yeah.
Usually between the 10th and the 20th of what's considered a high dose, like a trip dose or a macro dose or a high journey dose. And it's said that the effects are sub-perceptible, meaning that there are no visual distortion. It really works on the background. Very subtle. However, what has been proven scientifically is that psychedelic compound psilocybin, which is the active ingredient in magic mushrooms and truffles, which are legal here in the Netherlands.
yeah. I'm sorry. We don't know where you live. Don't go out, consume substances, or trying to just be aware of how it works in your country.
Yeah, just disclaimers always.
Disclaimer.
I mean, you're an expert. That's the whole idea, right? People come to you to get the right way of doing it.
Yeah, to use it
Yeah.
consciously, safely, and
Yeah.
effectively.
Yeah.
But one of the disclaimers I often give that it's not a quick fix or a magic bullet. It's not for everyone, and also it invites you to do the work. It's only a tool, and how to use that tool is a skill which you can develop, and it all comes down to how you integrate it in your day-to-day life, so it doesn't become a next. What I wouldn't call it a peak experience, but I see it with a lot of people who come to high dose sessions, which I also facilitate, that they have a lot of expectations that they think it will heal something or they will bring, open new doors. But it all boils down to how it's integrated and how to walk it home and embody it at the end of the day. And that's something I also guide people in. But to come back to microdosing, and the thing I wanted to say about what has been scientifically proven is that it can make your brain more malleable. It can, what they call neuroplasticity, so your capacity to learn new behavior.
Yeah.
It makes it easier. So it makes the pathways in your brain susceptible to
Dealing maybe with trauma better.
Well,
finding new paths.
that can be an aspect of it, but it's more so that whatever kind of change you would like to invite into your life, into your being,
Yeah.
it makes it easier to adapt to that. And it's been proven that it takes between 60 and 90 days of repetition for a new pathway to be created. So you have to,
During the microdosing or over?
in general,
Okay.
but the psilocybin aids in the plasticity, so
Yeah.
making it easier to make that new groove in the brain to really embody that new
habit.
or habits.
Nice. Yeah, I'm very grateful that I could reach out to you. Further down this interview, we're also gonna let people know how to connect with Hidde, what is he's offering in a practical way for you watching at home, not only in a digital way right now. The next topic that I wanted to cover is we already started it, is what you do exactly. So maybe we can go into that in a second. I just maybe want to come to ABOOD and the RAUFS. There are other topics that we think should be interesting to cover about Hidde. But you want to ask something about his story or how we met in that sense? Or how psychedelics work?
So, did you also do psychedelic therapy for your own self? Because you went through, yeah, that's how you started on that path, right?
I had numerous psychedelic experiences. First, when I was a student, I was actually quite late with trying psychedelics. It was in my 20s. I had many different experiences with smoking weed, with other substances, with ecstasy when I was much younger. But somehow there was always this reverence for these substances, knowing that, they could alter my perceptions. So I didn't touch them until I was studying, until I was like 22 or something. Yeah. And then it was recreational, just laughing and giggling mostly. Yeah. But also after it, I felt like, hey, this was
I don't know if the volume is good.
this was interesting,
Yeah.
And later on, I started doing it more intentionally, like going into a psychedelic experience with a certain question or something that I want to have revealed, as the word psychedelics mean mind revealing. So it can give you a different perspective on how you look at yourself and life and the reality we live in. And later on, I was drawn to go to ceremonies where I sat with a medicine intentionally guided by others, and there I learned that it could expand my horizon in even much broader ways than I had experienced before trying it at home or with friends. And I also learned the hard way that, going from ceremony to ceremony or from experience to peak experience, that nothing really changed until I started reflecting intentionally in the process afterwards and trying to decipher what those experiences actually meant for me and how I could apply them in life. And it wasn't until later that I started working with microdosing, and back in 2018 there was already a lot known, but research here in the Netherlands got picked up in the years after, and it was also the year after that Michael Pollan, the research journalist, published Michael Pollan. He published this book, How to Change Your Mind, which had a big influence on the psychedelic landscape, and it got mainstream after that, actually. And from there on, I started following different courses and really diving into the therapeutic effects. And from there, a year later, I founded a research foundation where we collected data of people microdosing to map out the therapeutic potential. We worked together with universities and scientists. And there I started using my own experiences of what I learned in microdosing myself when I was injured and in some trajectories afterwards to guide people in those trajectories as well for 2 months, helping them with setting the right intention, finding their sweet spot, or the ideal dosage, which it doesn't give any visual distortions. And from there on, it grew and grew. And at the same time, I had my own healing journey from my neck, but also I've been addicted for most of my life to tobacco and smoking weed. Numbing was something I did throughout all my life, and avoiding a lot of pain.
A lot of us are busy with numbing,
Yeah.
especially these days. The younger generation, they almost have nowhere to go. They need to numb themselves with social media or like substances. There's so many ways available to numb yourself.
I see that as well. Many ways of dissociating, and it's also easy to distract yourself. There's so much going on, and it's not really tempting for a lot of people to go within and face their fears and pains and desires. And but I feel that is where our true potential lies, and also where there's healing is.
I noticed something. So I met Hidde like less than 2 hours ago, and I caught on the pattern that you've used the word intention more than 7-8 times so far. I don't know. I probably will count it in the editing.
Yeah.
But I caught on that pattern that you've used that word in the first 10 minutes of me meeting you.
Yeah.
Right. And now you've used that word even more and more. And I think if I'm projecting into the future, you'd probably continue using that word even more. And in your research, you're probably looking into the concept of intention even further. I come from a culture where they teach us the most important thing about your whole life. They taught me this from the very beginning, is your intention. And like to us, it sounds like, yeah, it's just, I want to do something, right? That's my intention. But it's actually much more complex. It's much more complex because when you look inside yourself, a lot of times you catch on the fact that you don't know what you want, or you're confused about it, or you want it for the wrong reason. So I think it's quite fascinating, honestly, that you start from a place within rather than outside, because magic, truffles, psilocybin, that's an external stimulus. It's not an internal stimulus, but intention, that's you,
I have a question.
right? Yeah.
Yeah? No, okay? No. No, sorry. No, I don't ever know. Great observation. Just before you guys continue. Yeah. Psilocybin, I think people are not as smart as I am. And they usually, I'm kidding everyone. But people usually, sometimes I forget as well, that we are animals. We are our biology as well. Or 100%. I'm not going to say right now. Next episode, they'll say how much. But we are a biology. So when we engage in psychedelics, in shrooms, psilocybin, it is coming from deep within us. Because if it's affecting how I see it, if it's affecting the structures in our brain, in our body, it is affecting our soul, our spirit. So that's how I see it.
I think that we can have different podcasts on all these subjects itself, on if we are our biology, and also the topic of soul or spirit, and if we can recognize that or not, as mainstream science does not agree that we have a soul. It's a byproduct of the brain. I do think that there's a spiritual essence to us that perhaps came first, and the brain followed. But I hear what you're saying, and yeah, I still would like to respond to it.
I'm sorry.
About intention.
Sorry I interrupted.
As it really is one of the most important things, as perhaps in life, living intentionally and really reflecting on what it is that we want to bring forward and experience, but especially in working with these powerful plants, these entheogens, these substances that can alter our perception, as an intention is different from a goal. And a lot of people are goal oriented. They want a certain outcome. And also, since we live in a society where many people are purpose.
In what?
Well, in a society where people are focused on success
Success, yeah.
and
Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like.
Oh, great segue. It's perfect. Supposed to drop the.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. They're seeking.
click the button here
Yes.
or here.
Yes, or here. So you're saying people are seeking success.
People are seeking success,
Yes.
and it's about performance basically. And what working with these compounds has taught me that it's more about presence instead of performance. And an intention is different from a goal. A goal is mostly mind-driven. It has to do with a certain outcome. And intention is more heart-driven. It has to do with what shows up in the moment and how you want to be, who you want to be moving forward. So an intention is actually revealing your deepest desires, and reflecting on these desires is essential if you want to bring forth your
True self. Maybe.
purpose and your essence, your true self, or your I like the word you used, soul. Your soul.
Yeah.
Essence. There's something in us that wants to, a gift that we want to share with the world, and sometimes we have to go beyond the
physical. What is in front of us,
physical.
maybe.
yeah.
What is in our minds right now today. The thing is, sometimes I go back to the idea that we're all just animals, and everything we do draws down to reproducing and keeping the species alive because of evolution. But it is if I only thought that way, maybe I wouldn't be here right now talking to you guys. So there's more to it, maybe.
Have you ever heard of the stoned ape theory?
That they took mushrooms and then they invented religion.
No, basically
Gained awareness.
states that
Right.
we were Neanderthals. We were at a point where we were basically animals.
Yeah.
And this is a theory still that this intelligence of this mushroom got infused with our being, which gave us a different way of looking at ourselves, and what differentiates us from most animals is that we can reflect on ourselves.
I'm down with that theory. I think that would be correct.
Perhaps we are more than animals, but I do feel that a lot of people in this world still treat each other like animals, and that it's mostly about violence and reproducing themselves.
I mean,
But it
it is a bit about reproducing, right?
as well, I think
I mean,
that's an important aspect as well. But there's, it's a way to
To
live.
live.
They said the future are the children.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, they're
want to
living
bring a
it.
better world, we have to do it through ourselves first, and then
Through-
through our children. So.
Yeah,
And even if you place primacy on spirit, you still have to deal with hardware, because you can't have spirit without hardware. Hardware being the biological vessel.
Yeah, it needs to be contained.
Even if you don't want to transfer culture or transfer spirit and mind to the offspring, you need the offspring, you need the hardware first, right? So you have to make children. It makes sense that there is a whole focus in our life and the way evolution went, if it's true, But
Well,
I'm down to doubt evolution, but yeah. So, but the thing is, it makes sense that we focus so much on the material world, because on the material world we build software. If you think of the mind, it needs a way to represent itself in the world. So even if it has a vessel that can move around, maybe it needs software to also know where it's going. But you need the vessel, is my point. Yeah.
Yeah, and what do you think, Raufs? Speaking of hardware,
Right. The good segue.
a computer scientist,
He is a computer
you
scientist.
think hardware sucks. What do you think?
Everyone can see your hat, but not a lot of people can. We can enjoy your socks, but not people watching. You can the video, you can listening to podcast.
Oh, see? Drop a like.
You know a lot about truffles, and I wanted to ask how you tell the difference between the bad truffle and the good truffle.
Oh, nice.
Hardware.
Hardware, it's a shame.
What do you mean with a good truffle and a bad truffle?
So, can you use the truffles they sell in the smart shops? Yes.
Yes.
I
Usually those are good truffles, you know, that are fresh.
Yeah.
And a bad truffle is when the shelf life has, when it expires. So you can see when it becomes a bit black, and moldy is not always a case or an indication that it's bad, since it is a mold.
Yeah.
However, if it gets black and gooey, and you can smell it, but most of the times within a couple of months, 2 months after buying it, it's still good. Is that what you meant by a good and a bad truffle, like shelf life wise, or in terms of the effect?
Before you go on, we are in the Netherlands. They are more lenient with substances here. So be aware of your local rules and regulations.
Perhaps it's good to differentiate between
Yeah.
a truffle and a mushroom. A mushroom, magic mushroom, grows above the ground. That's basically the fruit. And then underneath the ground, you have the mycelium. That's what connects all the living plants. And underneath is the truffle, sclerosia they call it. And that basically bring it the source of food for the food for the mushroom, and it contains the same active ingredient called psilocybin.
do I understand correctly that the truffles you use are the same truffles sold in smart shops?
Yeah, those are the ones that are liquid, and then of course we have the truffle, the tartufo, which the hogs or the pigs find, which you can put over your pasta, which has this earthy taste. That's a different kind of famous truffle, but here in the Netherlands we have the psychedelic truffles, and I think that both are really good.
I've read the text on the boxes of the truffles, and the descriptions of different boxes are very different. Some of them say you can have visuals and it's going to be dreamlike. Some of them say you'll feel energy and you'll want to work. Some of them say you're going to feel as if you are, I don't know, ultra energetic after having 50 cups of coffee. And I'm reading the descriptions,
Yeah.
and it sounds like this one is MDMA, this one's cocaine, this one is probably psilocybin. What's up with these descriptions? Are there chemicals like sprayed on the truffles, or?
There's different strains, and to be honest, I haven't tried them all. I usually work with one particular kind. I personally think it's also marketing, as the psychedelic compound is the same, psilocybin. However, some might be bigger or smaller, perhaps a bit stronger. But I have not tried all the different strains and types of truffles myself. But if you are curious trying truffles, I would just get informed in one of the smart shops in Amsterdam, and what they always say is almost textbook in working with psychedelics. It's about set and setting, so be aware of your mindset going in. We call these compounds non-specific amplifiers, so whatever is alive in you at that moment can get magnified. And a setting is basically a place where you feel safe and comfortable, so you can have a positive experience without being influenced by
Bad vibes.
or unforeseen circumstances that might have a big impact on you, because you basically become much more sensitive and open and receptive when you use these substances. And this is in essence what psychedelics do, is they open up your feelings, so they let you feel more and deeper. And that's also why it can be healing for a lot of people, since what I see in my work is a lot of people are really stuck in their minds. So making the transition from the head into the body is one of the first steps if you want to allow for a change on a physical or an emotional level to come forth. is to be able to feel more.
Yeah. So if you take a pill in the morning, or you have chocolate with psilocybin, and your girl calls you, you're gonna have a bad day.
What?
That's the summary. I'm sorry, I didn't. I was supposed to say
That
that.
joke requires explaining.
No, it doesn't. But it's very interesting what you said, to let yourself feel it instead of just trying to overthink it and try to analyze everything in a logical sense, right? So that's very interesting. Also very interesting to know that there isn't that big of a difference with the truffle itself, but it's good to get informed. Well,
In my experience,
What happens if you eat a bad truffle, like expired?
you can get nauseous. A lot of people experience nauseousness from eating the truffles. They're quite heavy on the stomach. Yeah, you can get sick from eating a bad truffle. I personally don't have any experience with eating any truffles that were past their expiring date. I grow my own mushrooms. I prefer working with the mushroom as they're a lot lighter on the stomach. You can order grow kits online as well. It's a really beautiful process seeing how these mushrooms grow, sometimes really big overnight.
Yeah. Overnight.
Yeah, well,
Insane.
you go to bed and they might be very small, and the next morning, all of a sudden, no, it's also beautiful to watch these time lapse of mushrooms growing. There's a beautiful documentary on Netflix called Fantastic Fungi, which has a lot of beautiful shots of all kinds of fungi and mushrooms, and see them growing.
You have a hobby about the mushrooms, right?
What?
You're enthusiastic about the mushroom themselves. Not even like it's past their effects.
Yeah.
Like the mushroom.
I'm sorry. Can you guys speak maybe a bit louder?
Oh,
I am passionate about the mushroom.
yeah.
As it is such a intelligent species,
Yeah.
and I find them beautiful as well. And what I see as well with a lot of people who work with mushrooms, either with functional mushrooms like lion's mane or reishi or chaga or cordyceps, or even people who like to grow them for to eat them, is that it feels like that energy or wisdom of the fungi is kind of working through you, through us. So it's like they convey this message, and for the psychedelic mushroom, has to do a lot with connectivity and with playfulness and with compassion as well, I would say.
Yeah.
So people who are working with mushrooms, I see that they embody these qualities more and more as well.
You said something about positive experiences and kind of trying to always guide your experience towards a positive goal. But I kept wondering, what about negative experiences? Are they useless?
No, good
Should we
question.
avoid them?
You often cannot avoid them, just as in life. And even if you take the substance out of the equation, you've perhaps had negative experiences in life, looking back, which actually showed you something or brought new insights or growth. So I feel that negative or positive is just a label that we give to things from a certain idea or mindset. And in psychedelic experiences or circles, people often speak of a bad trip when it doesn't go as expected, or when there are unforeseen circumstances that have an impact. And it's an interesting topic. In the circles I work in, we often speak about challenging trips, as they often do have a gift in the long term, which all has to do as well with how it is being integrated and how much support you had in that process. But there are also just bad experiences, people who get traumatized from an experience if they don't prepare properly, or if they're taking medication. As I said before, it is not for everyone to experiment with.
Maybe if they have a history in the family of psychosis or schizophrenia.
Exactly, if you're if you are taking medication or if you're bipolar, there are many cases where it's not recommended to work with these compounds. And even
And a lot of people are bipolar. It's not even a joke, because there's literally a big number of people that are bipolar.
microdosing is a lot safer because the quantity is very
Yeah.
low, but still it needs to be taken intentionally with a lot of reverence and preparation.
Yeah.
And if people come to me wanting to work to heal trauma or to work on themselves, I always check if what other modalities they've tried. If they've tried changing their diet or have they talked to a therapist. I feel that this is a tool that should not be the first tool in the toolbox you use if you really want to work on yourself. And you need a proper guidance and preparation if you work with higher dosages.
Yeah. I love how careful you are in this regard, because part of this space of psilocybin therapy, psilocybin assisted therapy, is oftentimes this, it feels like a marketing false promise, where it's as you said earlier, it's like a magic bullet. People expect a big experience that will somehow be life-changing. However, your life is every day
Yeah, it's
an impossible end, you know?
Yeah.
And realistically speaking, every day is a new problem, right? So
Every day.
yeah. So you mentioned,
Every single day.
he mentioned earlier something that I think we should highlight again. You said integration. I don't know if you mentioned it on camera or off camera, but you said this is so important. Integration is so
It
important.
really is key.
Yeah.
Just as intentions are key, which we
Yeah.
discussed before, integration is how you take what you've encountered in experiences and let it work for you in day-to-day life, how you walk it home, how you embody it. And this is something that needs to be revisited and practiced every day, because it's actually about how you impact your own life, your relationships through these insights. And what I see is that a lot of people go from one peak experience to the next one where they have beautiful downloads or insights, and then they have this afterglow for a couple of weeks if they're lucky, and then they fall back into the same grooves.
Yeah.
And they chase the next peak experience, and they move from ceremony to ceremony, from
funny.
experience to experience. From
It's funny you say that, because I was watching a video the other day, and they were describing religious experiences and these big religious events in which people are exorcised of their addictions or their problems. But they often, like if they have a back pain in some ceremonies, some religious ceremonies, they'll say they're cured, but after a week or so, it just all comes back to them. So it's linked to that placebo effect, to that hype of emotion, of experience. But if the person somehow doesn't maintain it, or maybe was not supposed to be maintained, the back pain comes back, the addiction comes back, and that is yeah.
that's why proper support, not only during or in preparation or during working with psychedelics, but especially afterwards, is essential as well.
Yeah.
Like or having a community that is supportive.
Yeah.
Either a friend or family that you can talk to truthfully.
Yeah.
Authentically.
Also to
and proper-
analyze yourself, because when you're talking to someone about what's happening to you, you can take an outsider's perspective to your situation in some sense. And I think as well, it is, if you have an addiction or if you have a problem, it will be an ongoing process. At the end of the day, I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no magic bullet. It's a lot of talking, a lot of experiences, which microdosing can be of help to, but it is an ongoing process, right?
If I look at my own experiences and my own journey, it's a constant process of shedding layers. It's like an onion, peeling an infinite onion
Yeah.
of layers.
So now it's
But
like-
you think you've worked through one layer, and then you get confronted with the next layer, and you still have to show up and and put the work in to move through that. But I have learned to see it as it's fun as well to work
It is the journey.
through these levels. You know, I had a lot of resentment, like, oh, I thought I figured this out, and now I'm confronted again with this addiction, to name an example. But every time it was taking me one layer deeper to really truthfully look at who I thought I was, and to inviting me to be more vulnerable, and also to take off the masks that we all carry, which often come forth from.
And to speak to you, I'm also a victim of that. A lot of people watch as well. To speak to yourself as a coach and not as a guard. Not like you don't want to speak to yourself as you want to punish yourself, but you want to speak to yourself as if you're a coach trying to make your situation better, to make you be more productive, or to feel better, or to understand better.
Yeah, I think I see what you mean. You know, it's good to be optimistic and to
And
to look at impossibilities, but also coming back to what I said earlier, getting out of the victim mentality and taking responsibility and ownership for your own life and for your own process.
Yeah.
By not trying to escape in dissociating or substances, but it's everyday
struggle.
Struggle. It's everyday work to
Work, yeah.
to do the work, you know, to go to the gym, to eat healthy, to an example I often use in sessions with clients. There's this chart I love with two overlapping circles. One says discipline, the other circle says surrender. And where they overlap, you get this flow state where basically life unfolds without having to think the next step through. And it takes that discipline, doing the things you know that you have to do, from having a balanced diet, moving your body, sleeping, paying your bills in time, investing in relationships.
The most important one.
And at the other side is surrender. And that's the difficult part for most people, is seeing which things are out of your control and trying to let them be, you know, letting the control go.
Yeah.
And
What's your bread and butter? What do you need to focus on, and what can you afford to be vulnerable to be?
at the end of the day, there are only so many things we really can control besides the things we just named. But mostly what you can control is how you respond to your own triggers or impulses, or how people act towards you. And if you become aware of that, so that's becoming aware of how the mind acts, you know, the monkey mind, which is constantly labeling, judging. That's why meditation is basically the key tool I will always recommend trying, and which also goes really well hand in hand with the microdosing practice. Journaling to become more aware of that chatter of the mind, and also what you want to bring forth, or different ways of journaling. But becoming aware of the qualities of your thoughts is essential in being able to pick a thought that is more helpful in your growing the ideal version of yourself. And we all have conditioning to a certain degree. And you know, talking therapy can be very helpful to gain more clarity and insight on the stories we tell ourselves and how we were affected by things that happened in childhood. But real change takes place here and now, and we have to show up for it every day. And these tools are that can help us along the way. What we need: intention and integration for us to really walk it home and embody it.
What do you think? You mentioned that you went through this process, and you had an intention, but you didn't mention how the integration went. So are you still microdosing? Are you
high right now?
I'm not gonna say on camera if I'm high or not. Right now, the thing is, I came to Hidde because I was procrastinating too much, maybe consuming adult content too much, and that reduced. But I think the best thing was to get in touch with Hidde in this side of microdosing, but also this side of the Netherlands that me as an expat could experience here. That connection as well, and it's just are just benefits on benefits. So what do you mean that I went with an intention? What do you mean by asking me about the integration? What do you mean exactly?
So you went to these sessions with intention of becoming a better Joe. Yeah. These sessions ended. How did you integrate what you learned? How do you keep this up? But
So yeah,
it's also interesting that you. Sorry, it's
are you gonna keep cutting?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Go on. No, go for it. Okay, thank you. It's interesting that you mentioned cultural integration into this.
Yeah. So the work that he guided me through is of having the doses, morning doses, but also to have that conversation with him, to analyze, to think about how would I approach it, how would I approach my days under the influences of those micro doses, and going further afterwards. How I've integrated, I've changed. This project wasn't as many things in my life changed. This project wasn't as clear as it was before. I've had many ideas that I've implemented in my life, small ideas, big ideas that changed. I was more open to feedback from other people. And I still, I've microdosed after that in contact with Hidde as well. And right now, it may sound too simplistic, but I'm planning to microdose again during around Christmas time, because I noticed that is a time that I'm very vulnerable, not vulnerable, but very down. And I think most people, because Christmas and New Year's, if I'm not mistaken, is the time that people erase themselves the most. Erase themselves.
Oh,
So I think it's for most people, it can be a very sad time. And also here in the Netherlands, in a lot of places, you don't have a lot of sunlight. So I'm planning to also bring microdosing back during that period, in contact with Hidde, of course. I'm not just gonna buy it somewhere else and not have that, even small, have that contact, that chat. But that's how I've integrated. I've changed a lot. I've changed things in my daily life. And I'm planning to do it again in a period that I already know is gonna be a bit heavy on my productivity and my overall state of mind. Maybe we should take a quick break, 5-minute break. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, and a really good question as well. First of all, I would like to state that integration is a lifelong process. It's not just something you do after microdosing. It's a continuous attempt to take what you've learned, what you come across in life, and to apply it in life. And we do this automatically. Here's just the invitation to do it more consciously. And yeah, I can relate to what you say, and I feel as well that around the darker times of the year, also when people celebrate being together with family, and it's clear for some people that they don't have these connections or cannot be with family, that's painful. But it's also good to keep in mind that, especially if you're more vulnerable or sensitive, that these feelings can also be brought to the surface when you work with psychedelic substances, even with microdosing. So, as I mentioned before, they are non-specific amplifiers. So if you're in grief or if you feel sad, that might become stronger as well, as an attempt to allow you to work through that, bring it to the forefront so you can feel what there is to feel without pushing it away and creating room for something else to be experienced. But it's not, and I think you were clear about it, it's not to bypass these feelings of sadness or loneliness, but more so to confront them and feel through them, and by that act allowing yourself to to feel more connected with yourself, which allows for connections with others as well.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It does. It also influences the mood in the specific day that you had the microdose. Yeah, and before we maybe wrap this up, tell people how they can get in touch with either his services or something similar in their reach. Do you guys want to maybe bring something home or questions?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the discussion between you guys because it kind of brought back the experience of therapy. This time minus the microdosing. I'm assuming you're sober.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's.
So, and probably you are sober too, as well, right? Side question, actually, when you do those experiences, are you ever on the substance with the people you're doing it with? So, are you also microdosing or doing a high dose?
I do microdosing trajectories occasionally as well.
Yeah.
However, I feel that I've learned what the substance is bringing, so I can access more easily the same feelings of connectivity and feeling my emotions even without the substance. I do use it recreationally, so instead of drinking alcohol or other substances when going out, I might take a microdose or mini dose just to feel more of the music, or before I brought a bottle of wine or some beers to a party, I might now bring some microdosing chocolates, which I also make for fun. So, and I wouldn't consider it being high, However, when I'm in ceremony, I guide people through high dose experiences. We as facilitators also get offered a small dose to be more connected with the field and with the people that are working with the medicine, but that's optional. So yeah, I am high from time to time. You want to call it that.
It's cool you mentioned you learned how to access those brain locations or spots without even the truffles or the substance anymore. Now you know how to do it sober. It's very interesting.
Frequency.
I could never say the same about weed. Like weed is not the same. Well, I don't know how to access that feeling if I'm not high, for example. Yeah.
Do you know Wim Hof, the Iceman? He did this really interesting study, I believe, in Canada a couple of years ago, where he could make the connection in his brain, which was similar to smoking or using cannabis. So connecting the cannabinoids in his brain just by tapping into that frequency. And that's why they call a lot of these substances plant teachers, because they have a certain teaching, certain lesson, which is a frequency, you could say. So for some people it works just to have the substance in the air, hold it in their hands. So you can try, if you want to smoke a joint, you have some cannabis, hold it in your hand and see if you can access that state of being without ingesting it. So once your body is familiar with a certain effect, you can access it without the substance, but that also takes training.
Yeah.
And working with the breath, I haven't even talked about the breath, which is
Yeah.
essential as well. It's
I
the basis
I
of.
can smell it from here. Sorry.
But holotropic breath work can be very psychedelic. Taking big amounts of oxygen in your system and breathing for a prolonged amount of time can make you really high. And at the same time, with a different technique, it can make you really drowsy and help you to fall asleep. So you don't need a substance. And to close it off, Alan Watts, the philosopher, had a beautiful quote about psychedelics. If you get the message, hang up the phone. Meaning you don't need to repeat working with the substance if you get the message. It's about integrating it, and then it becomes part of you.
Thank you. That's great. I will try that, actually. I will try holding the bud of weed and see if I can simulate the cannabinoid connection in my brain. I want to ask one last question about Joe. Because you did say something earlier that this is not for everybody. And from my research,
Not my psychotic people like Joe.
from my research, I looked into Spinoza, the institute where you guys do these experiences, and I see that you have a vetting process. A vetting process, correct?
A screening process.
A screening process, correct. So, what about Joe told you he is suitable for this? And who do you say no to? Because I'm pretty sure there are certain people you think, no, this is not a good idea.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
a lot of people do not get through the screening process. However, people can lie, and that's always a risk. And then we have, you know, our own experiences, which when we do an intake call with someone, we ask them questions about their intention or their reason for joining a ceremony. It often becomes clear, you know, if it's the right time for them to work with the substance or not. But sometimes, occasionally, someone comes through that after the ceremony we feel like, perhaps this wasn't the best fit, and they will need some more aftercare. But the most important thing is that you're not taking any substances, that you're not psychotic or bipolar or schizophrenic. A lot of substances and antidepressants just have an opposite effect. They shut down receptors where actually this substance is trying to allow you to feel more. So it's a bit contradicting. And as I said, with microdosing, the risks are lower, but I still have a screening process as well. And I ask for people to sign a waiver or disclaimer stating that they are not taking any substances or they're not bipolar or schizophrenic or...
Well,
So
there are...
So Joe was sober. That's basically one of the main points that you guys accepted him for, because he was sober.
It was not
Right.
about him being sober. There were no, from his intake form, there were no risks that I saw that I felt that he should not microdose at that moment.
Oh, so you looked at his answers. You looked at kind of, I guess his answers
we
paint.
had a long chat as well.
Oh, you had a one-on-one.
Screening, and we do online sessions, but we also had a...
Well, I wasn't. I was just saying, hey, you can just send me the stuff. It's whatever. But he was the one that said, no, dude, don't put fake signature.
We do exploration call to get to know each other.
He was the one that said you should call. We should have this conversation one-on-one. You should fill out this form. Like, bro, just send me the stuff. You know.
You're so mentally strong, bro. You just went through.
No, but it was nice. It was a good process. And just to bring it home, how can if you can tell the people at home, how can they reach you? We're gonna put the links below.
Yeah, well, check the links. You can find me on Instagram. I will send the link of my link tree where I have the link to my website.
A link to your link tree.
Yeah,
To your website.
Some of the people can book an exploration call and find a lot more information about the do's, don'ts, and if they need any assistance with integration as well, or preparation into working with psychedelics, they can hit me up.
And I think also if people they are not in the Netherlands, they can also reach out to you or to the links below
For consultation.
and then you talk about it. If they're in a country with more strict laws, maybe you can go through it with them. It's all a matter of conversation, of getting in touch, which is the first step to embarking in this journey, which I personally thought it was beneficial. It has been beneficial.
Indeed.
Nice. Thanks for being here. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, bro. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Finally,
Yeah.
I'm working on a book,
Yeah.
which hopefully will be published within the coming half year.
Yeah.
So I will share some more about that with you as well. So
Yeah.
perhaps you can post a link. I don't know when
Yes,
this
I will.
is coming out, but it's about integration and embodiment of working with these substances.
Nice.
So becoming the medicine as we are the medicine.
It's a good
ourselves.
title. I'm not kissing your ass. I think it's a good title.
The title again is "We Are the Medicine."
No, becoming the medicine.
Becoming the medicine. Very cool. I agree.
Nice. Thanks, everyone. Subscribe, leave a like, and that's it. That's perfect.